What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Rwd Dad channel video, or welcome if it is your first time. Either way, very glad to have you. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize right now for the possible crappy audio on this because my allergies are just tearing me up and I am just all sorts of congested, and it's early in the morning. It's always worse in the morning, but I have limited time to do this. So what are we talking about today? You guys saw the thumbnail. You saw what the video is about. We're talking about my experience, my review. I'm gonna pepper in somebody else's too because it's very important. I think you guys should know. But my review on the Rwd RS-1 monoshock for the M8 Softail. So let's roll the intro, we'll come on back and talk all about it.
Riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a thing that you found.
All right, so right off the bat, I want to get the really negative stuff out of the way first, because overall I love this shock. If you are somebody watching who has talked to me, previously through Instagram or direct message, or if you know me in person, everybody I speak to, I recommend this shock all the time. I like it a lot. It is a couple $100, at least the last time I looked at it, cheaper than Öhlins, which in my opinion is the only one that would compete with it. Out of the shocks right now that are out, the Rwd just has a lot going for it that the other shocks don't necessarily. And like I said, the only one that I think would be a fair comparison to it would be the Öhlins, which is a little bit more money. A lot of people love it. I'm not sure if you would really notice a difference if you were sitting on it. I will say that the Öhlins is a 13-inch shock and the Rwd is advertised as a 13.5. So you are gaining an extra half-inch, at least from the side I was looking at last with the Öhlins. So I'm not sure if they do sell 13.5s or whatever, but they are adjustable from 12 to 13 inches as well. The Rwd is just a 13.5, and that's what you are getting. But for me, the extra height, very welcome. You get increased lean angle, and I just love how the bike performs. Something I will address real quick too before I go into the negative is I've had a bunch of people ask me if they do just the rear shock and it raises it up, is it weird? Are you like, forward, almost like a sport bike, like over the tank? No, that's what I was worried about in the beginning as well. I was worried going, that 1.5 inch, almost 2-inch bump in the rear shock, if that would really impact the rider triangle and, the geometry of everything. Obviously it did for the bike, but barely anything for you to feel. You definitely felt higher up, but it wasn't like you felt, like you were diving forward. I had that set up for about a year before I put the fork shims on the front, and even now, those shims I have only about a 1/2 inch maybe gained in the front. I'd say somewhere between 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch gained. So it's not like, the same exact amount as the rear is bumped up. No issue at all. You do not feel like you're, falling over the tank or leaning. So don't worry about that. That part's over with. So the negative, it is something unfortunate that I have to say because, like I said, I do like the shock and I like the company, but here goes. So I've been talking to a dude on Instagram. I'm gonna leave his name out of this for obviously the interest of privacy. However, he knows I am going to share the story. He's good with it. So he originally, and I will include company names because I'm a firm believer on you get what you pay for, and if somebody customer service is crappy and the next company has it, quit giving your money to the crappy company. So Bulletproof Cycles was the site that he originally ordered this shock from. They were taking a long time to ship it, so he sent him a message and be like, hey, just curious, is this coming out or did something happen with it? And they said, oh, essentially it's a custom order. We're setting it up specifically for you. To my knowledge, and because he was talking to me about this, he's like, you ever hear anything about that? I'm like, no. To my knowledge, Rwd RS-1, the shock specifically from Russ Wernemont, is their shock. I don't believe anybody has the, partnership with them or whatever to be messing with their shock and putting in different coils, spring rates, or I don't, to my knowledge, that wasn't existing. So we kind of let that go, and I was like, maybe they do. I've never heard of it, but this is the first I'm hearing of it. So Bulletproof Cycle says they were going to set it up for him, and then the other part we were thinking was like, oh, maybe they're just adjusting the preload since you told them your weight, but that would take like 10 seconds for you to do at home, maybe 10-15 minutes, like tops realistically. So somebody shouldn't be doing that for you, and if they are, it shouldn't be adding weeks, if not even an extra day or two to your shipping. That just shouldn't be. So they finally ship it to him. He gets it. Looks exactly the same. The shock, there's no noticeable difference, at least that he or I can tell of this shock. So he installs it. And then he sends me a message like a day later with oil all over his bike. And I'll put up a picture now so you see exactly what I'm talking about. Basically, where the hose for the external reservoir in the RWD was had kinked up and had been split open. It tore and the oil went everywhere. Neither of us were 100% sure why this happened. I obviously have never had an issue with mine, and I have gone over some pretty bad bumps to the point where, I was bucked off the seat pretty bad, either because I didn't see him on the road or because I just felt like being a fast boy or whatever. So, and then you take into the account that he's been waiting on this shock for like 2 weeks already, 2-3 weeks, whatever it was. So that really was disappointing. And then I kept telling him, I was like, please give RWD a chance still. I don't know if it was something Bulletproof did to whatever, but the shock is still really good. Like, I don't want this to be a negative thing for you. So he contacted RWD directly because it was their shock. Said, hey, this is what happened. And they're like, yeah, send it. So originally what they told him was send it in as long as we get it early enough in the day and or, the next day we would get it. It'll be fixed and sent out to you same day. So he was like, that's great. And I was like, yeah, RWD rocks, man. I love RWD. So he sends it to them. He also asks them about what was done to the shock, to their knowledge, from Bulletproof Cycles, because it was, set up for him specifically, customized or whatever. And RWD basically told him, that's a crock. Nobody does anything. Like, they lied to you, essentially. That's BS. They don't do that. It's just our shock. It's not set up. The only thing they can set up is preload, which, again, going back to the beginning, would have taken like 10 to 15 minutes for them to do, let alone you yourself. It's no custom setup. So, BS. So now we're done with Bulletproof Cycles. Jesus. Now we're done with Bulletproof Cycles. In my opinion, I would not order anything from them just based on that customer service. If you have a good experience, good products, like I said, this is the only thing I've ever heard good or bad about them. I don't know many people that buy things from Bulletproof Cycles, so unfortunately that kind of sucks that happened. I don't know if it was just one guy that just messed up something, or I don't know what it was, but it sounds like they were just covering for being super delayed in shipping. And he even told me, which is the same way I feel, either of us felt, if you were just straight up honest, be like, listen, man, it's holiday season or whatever, COVID crap, whatever excuse you got to use, like, we're just swamped. I'm sorry, just give us like another week or two. I'm real sorry, but we're going to get it out as soon as possible. I promise, we're just busy. Then that's fine. Just don't lie about stuff if that's the case, So, yeah, so Bulletproof done. Now we're back to RWD. So the shock gets delivered. They shoot him a message, say, hey, it's delivered. Or either they shoot him a message or he asks, whatever. Either way, confirmation that the delivery has happened. They have the product. They start fixing it or whatever. They tell him that he's got to trim his fender, which is weird because the directions when I installed mine never said anything about trimming the fender. I've never heard anybody have to trim that fender. To my knowledge, everybody that's ever gotten it, it's just been a straight install, just a straight drop-in install. Very straightforward, just a swap out of shocks. This guy is a bigger guy. He's a big, beefy guy, so he does weigh a little bit more, so he was thinking maybe that was the issue. Like I said, I had never heard of that, but I just assume you would just adjust the preload specific to your weight to have that. It was like, I think if I recall, it was like an inch and a half of what they recommend for your sag when you get on the bike, and call it a day. So anyway, he's like, all right, we'll deal with that when it comes. So they fix it, and then they don't ship it out for a long time. And they keep telling him they're going to ship it out, and then they don't, and it just sucks. It sucks for him, obviously, because he's the one, riding season is coming to an end at some point for him, because he doesn't live in Florida, and pretty much everywhere besides Florida, riding season stops at some point for a little bit. So he's running out of time, and he just dropped, close to $1,000 on this shock, and for over a month now he hasn't had it, and he's had to pay for the shipping and everything. So Bulletproof Cycles got back with him. He didn't contact them directly, he just shared his story on a page or whatever. Bulletproof Cycles, I did almost forget this too, so this is good on Bulletproof Cycles. They offered to pay, they paid the shipping cost for him to ship the shock over to RWD. So that was good on Bulletproof Cycles. Still don't know what's going on with the customized setup or whatever, but they paid for that, so that's real good on them, and that is very good customer service. It just sucks because I like products. I recommend the Rwd RS-1 to everybody that ever asks me about it. And now I got somebody that paid for it, saw my recommendation. I don't know if I was the only factor, but I'm sure I had, just hearing everybody talk about it, including myself, for this guy to buy it. And then he has this absolute junk experience with, not only the company he bought it from, but RWD itself, as far as taking forever to ship it back to him, which it sucks. So he does have it back now. I believe he did put it on the bike, and I haven't talked to him about it recently, so I'm assuming nothing bad has happened, but I just wanted to share that experience for you guys because I'm 100% transparent with good and bad with any of the company, with anything that happens with it. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Now we could talk about my personal experience, just me, with the Rwd RS-1, and I freaking love it. I love the shock. Like I said in the beginning, I think for the money, it is the best shock you're gonna get. I would say the only one close, again, is that Öhlins, and the Öhlins is more expensive, and it doesn't quite reach the same height. So this shock, game changer. I know I say that about a lot of products, but it really is. I don't know if you could see it. Can you see where my hand is? Yeah. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the design of it, the external reservoir goes over to the swing arm, and you can adjust how hard or soft I always get the words confused. So I believe it's the rebound, because the damping is up here. So I believe the rebound is what you adjust over there. So originally I had it right in the middle, and I rode for that, right in the middle of it for about a few months. And then I turned it up. So now I'm sitting in about 3/4. So 3/4 and/or 3/4. Not trying to combine them and make some new measurement term. So I'm sitting about 75% of the way, all the way up as far as the stiffness on it, the more aggressive. And I personally like that. Our roads are fairly well maintained in Florida. We don't have a lot of bumps or anything like that. So I find that riding that more of an aggressive tuning on that gives me a lot more feedback. It makes the front end feel a little bit more stiffer. I also run more on the damping than stock. So I adjusted it for that 1-inch sag, and I adjusted it a little bit more. So I'm probably running about a 3/4, maybe a 1/2 inch tops of sag when I sit on the bike. I like just having it. It's personal preference. I like having it more. Would it perform better if I didn't have that much? Possibly. I'm not a big shock guru, but personal preference. I like having that. A little bit stiffer feeling and a little bit less sag overall. I am really looking forward to. I think I've narrowed it down to the Legends front fork cartridge inserts. Looking forward to that, because for those of you who don't know, on any Harley really, but especially if you have like a real good rear setup, the front setup, the forks, they compress so bad under aggressive braking. It's depressing. But yeah, so side note, that'll be a video hopefully in the next couple of months, and I'm excited. I'm gonna order it from Tucker Speed. They my boys. And don't forget, affiliate link and coupon code in my description to help you guys out as well. They're good, solid dudes. They take care of us. So help them out by supporting them, support their business. So yeah, back to the RWD. Everything about the shock is really good. I mean, it's always nice as an added bonus, like the Öhlins has it too, but it's always nice having people see that you have extra work done to the bike. So like when you pull up somewhere and you see that remote reservoir coming out there, somebody knows that's not stock. There's something else going on. And it's just nice. Like I said, it's a good shock. Overall, you really do feel an improvement in the cornering. If the bike just feels more secure, more planted, you gain that extra lean angle from that extra height of the rear. Obviously, the height of the front will help and add to that as well, but just specifically bumping up that rear does it gains you more lean angle before you start scraping things. It's just an overall really good shock. I would say if there are two, let's say my top 3 things, I'm gonna make a video about this eventually as well, but my top 3 things I would say, if I got a new bike, my top 3 things I would upgrade immediately. One would be the seat, 100%, unless I got a random bike where the seat was good. Like the Fat Bob actually has a decent seat where I could deal with that, but I would still prefer like having a Saddleman step up, or Oh, it's off because to see the shock, but my SDC Pro seat, my Saddleman, essentially a Saddleman seat. I'd prefer to have that, and then suspension would be either number 1 or number 2. Suspension is the quickest way to improve the feeling of your bike. It improves your comfort and everything. I love that just a ton. And then third would be exhaust, because nobody likes a boring stock exhaust on a Harley, especially. They sound like poop. And it's just always nice having an exhaust. But yeah, this shock, 100% I would still recommend. It's unfortunate with the circumstance that, like I said, my dude on Instagram has been having. I feel bad for him, and I really hope everything works out good and he really enjoys the shock. But stories like that are very discouraging for me to hear, like I said. Or, if I was him, I would just want to sell the shock and be done with it and buy somebody else because of the experience he had the whole time getting this shock on his bike. But personally, I still recommend the RWD. I think the product is great. I know a ton of people running them that love them, have never had an issue. If there is any other issues that come up, with the guy that has had all the issues with the shock bursting and having to get it shipped back and everything like that, I will keep you guys posted. Please feel free on Instagram, hit me up if there are any questions or concerns you guys have about this shock or anything else that you see on my 2020 Lowrider S behind me. Make sure you click the thumbs up on this video. I really appreciate it. It helps me out, helps the channel out. Make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications, check out everything in the description of this video and every other video. And until the next time, guys, ride safe, have fun. Dad out.